Hello, welcome to challenge 13. So, we did this challenge yesterday, and there are some new concepts that we can go over. It's been quite a while, so I'm excited to dive in. Okay, this challenge is to set our navigation system. We need to calibrate our axes, X, Y, Z. So, for challenge 13, it's just to calibrate the x-axis. And so it has 12 possible settings, and we need to write a function called calibrate x, and it breaks it down step by step. So we have to loop from 1 to 12, call the built-in check signal, and assign it to a signal variable. Make sure it's not undefined, and if the value is defined, we set the navigation's object's x property, and then we break out of the loop. Okay, so let's get started. Let's make more space here. Okay, so function calibrate x. Okay, so first we need to loop from 1 to 12. So if I start from 1, I am going until 12, so it should be less than or equal to, and I add 1 each time. And we need to assign the result to a variable called signal. So we do var signal equals check signal. And then we need to make sure that the signal variable is not undefined. So there are a few ways we could do it. So the way that I usually do it is if type of signal doesn't equals undefined. So what's happening here is I'm actually using a built-in function that checks the type of object of signal. So if we go over to the console, we can try it out with different variable types. So you see, if I put in 5, it spits out a string, and the string is number. And if I do type of I, this is a string. And I could also do an empty object, and it spits out object. So that's why we do undefined here, because if, say, I do var x, I don't put anything in it, and I do type of x, it spits out undefined. So that's what we're looking for. And we want to get the negative condition is like if the signal isn't undefined, then then we need to set the navigation's x property to signal. And finally, we need to break out of the loop. So there are two ways we could do it. We could either do break. What this does is it will end the loop. So say if we had more code below, like where we were doing something else, like if we're doing more code here, what would happen is it will stop the loop. So maybe it finds the signal on the second try, it doesn't go through and do the rest of the loop, and it will come to execute the next piece of code. So since we don't have anything else to do, we can simply return from this function. Like we can just exit out right away. And oh yeah, one more thing about the type of signal, the type of, or like figuring out if signal variable is undefined. There is also another way where we can simply do signal doesn't equal undefined. So undefined is actually a keyword in JavaScript. And how I was able to figure it out is that I was playing around in the console, because there were some people who did signal doesn't equals undefined. And I can see that undefined is like a different color than signal. If you look at 5, this is blue, and type of is kind of like a purple color, and same with undefined. So right away it signaled to my brain that this is a special word in JavaScript. So before I said that it's because we haven't defined undefined as a variable, right? Because if, say, you just have a, so yeah, say we had x, which is not defined. So if I have a more signal and x are both undefined, they equal each other because they both have the value of undefined. So that's what I thought was happening, was because the condition passed because they were both undefined variables. So signal is a variable and undefined was a variable, and so they equaled each other. But actually, this works because undefined is a keyword. So if we go here, it says that undefined property, I'll zoom in, undefined property represents the primitive value undefined. It is one of JavaScript's primitive types. So we can actually use that as a keyword here. So the only problem is that if your variable is like never declared at all, so say z, if I do this, the problem now is that I never declared this as a variable, so it says z is, or z is not defined. But if I do type of z equals undefined, this works. So it's always safer to use the type of function to see if a variable is undefined or not than just using the primitive type. All right, I hope that this was helpful, and I will talk to you guys in the group.